Good morning, ladies and gents. Today, I'm going to turn off my music so it doesn't sit here in my ear. I'm actually going to even go so far as to even remove my headphones because, hey, there's no music playing anymore. And we're going to dig into what we left off with yesterday, specifically putting together a trade UI of some kind. And this is just going to be something that's functional for now, right? We don't want this to be too over the top or too crazy. We just want to prove the point of, yes, you can buy and sell things. Once the UI is in place and we kind of understand how it works a bit better, then we can go ahead and clean it up, make it prettier, take care of all that kind of polish and prettiness factor that I've been doing with a lot of the other AI. In fact, you'll note that if we look at the action background of the current UI window, it's still in the old style. If I really wanted to take maybe a step forwards in terms of making this one a little prettier, at least for now, I definitely could grab them all and set them to the new font. Haha, there we go. Looks better already. Cool, so that's step one. Right, that's the easiest thing we can get done with. The other thing we want to do is actually start in on the trade route. So right now, the action background is the one you choose when you're actually working with something. The trade route is currently only a cancel button that is way too small, I might add. So let's quickly bring this up to size, just so that it's not only readable but usable. I'm going to switch its font over, bring its font size up to something meaningful. That might be a bit overkill. So, actually, you know what? There's no such thing as overkill. If we want things to be readable and easily accessible, and I can read it from like this tiny little window, I'm pretty sure that it'll be fine. So, great. We've got a cancel button that, I can't click on because I'm not in scene view. That's fine. I'm actually going to drag it over here. The other thing we want to do is get our list of items that we can buy and the list of things we can sell. Previously, in a lot of games in the past, it's been completely separate. You have the list of things you can buy in one screen, the screen of the list of things you can sell in another, and it's a very one-way transaction. I'd like to kind of optimize this down to something a lot smaller if I can manage it. Specifically, I think we can do this with just a pair of scroll views and some selectable items in the scroll view. Let's see here. And it's actually getting to the point where we're using enough scroll views and we're using enough of these like selectable in scroll view objects that I'm actually kind of tempted to see if I can't generalize this solution a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to dive into that this morning, but I definitely am going to see, at least in the near future, whether or not I can clean that up. Because if I could just have one prefab and I can just instantiate that prefab into all of these, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so we're grabbing our NPC scroll view, we're setting it in the right spot. I can't help but notice that my cancel button is now hidden and difficult to click on. Let's see here. Let's shorten these ever so slightly, just so that our cancel button is visible. Bring them down. There we go. A little prettier there. And just so that we are completely certain at all times what is going on, because while too much information can be a bad thing, in the case of text labels like this, in terms of my experience, it rarely has been a bad idea to have a lot of information. So this one will say character name, and we of course need to make this a color that is readable. I've been going with this like white, almost yellow color. And we just make this a little longer. So there's our character name. Don't want to cover up the cancel button, and I don't think I'm going to have any NPCs who have incredibly long names. Granted, I may prove myself wrong eventually, but until I have, you know, Grohl the Troll who lives in Null, I don't think I'm going to really need a long text area there, or at least I can have it just cut off early, and you'll understand what's going on regardless. Party UI, stop it. You're being a pill. There we go. Character text, character name, thank you very much. Alright, so great, simple UI, nice, easy stuff. That's kind of the, as I said, easy stuff. It's the easiest part. The hard part here is going to be that we have to hop into these and do a few things. More specifically, we have to get all the items in your inventory that you can sell. So we need to make sure that items are now marked as sellable or not. So let's see here. Not just, well, I'm going to open up the editor with consumable items, but for all items, right? I don't just care about consumable items. I actually care about all inventory items. And all inventory items require a new Boolean called sellable. Or we could put in a sell price, and if the sell price is less than 1, then suddenly we don't have to worry about it. Just for usability's sake, I will put sellable as its own thing, and what I'm just going to do is return the sell price being greater than or equal to 0. I don't know why equal to is here, but I feel like you should be able to get rid of something for free. We'll make it greater than 0, just for kicks, just to make sure that I can leave it at default and it's not sellable. So now we're going to hop back and look at our items, and when things are done compiling, there we go. So here's our sell price. Let's say the sell price for a red potion is going to be 250 coins. Dagger, we'll say, is 300. Don't know why I'm putting these values in where they are, but I feel like I shouldn't, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't leave these blank. Mostly so I can see them in the character and NPC view. Let's see here. So, okay, we've got items we know the player can sell and buy. And we've also got items that we know the NPC can buy and sell. And holy crap, I've got a lot of things piled on top of each other here. So I'm just going to have to deal with this in an interesting way. Okay, party scroll view. Oh, I see what's going on here. So we're going to make these a little smaller because we need room for our transaction buttons. That's probably a little too small. I'm trying to find a sweet spot here. That might be enough. I also don't want to short this and put it in the wrong spot. Of course, I keep clicking on the scene, and I have things covering it in the scene. Let's see, I said 325 was my new width, so I'm going to drag that back over. Both of their heights should be, okay, it says 213. I'm going to put it at 215 for the sake of nice shiny round numbers. There we go. Cool. That leaves us room for buttons. Buttons, buttons, buttons. Specifically, a trade button. And we'll probably need a new label of some kind to tell us just how much money we are or aren't spending. That, or I could split it into two parts. I could have the buy and the sell be completely different. Don't know if that's what I want to do, though. Text. We'll call this the amount text. Alright, let's get these things into the right font, into the right part of the view, and taken care of so we can actually see what it all looks like. And you actually need to zoom in and switch the color of this once again because it's a little difficult to see. If we want to make it easier to see, we actually could dive in and say that we want, a new component that is UI effects. It is a outline effect. That should help somewhat. Cool. So this will be how much money you're spending at any given time. For now, I'm actually even going to go so far as to remove the gold marker from it, but we'll understand that this is gold when all is said and done. We'll leave it. Why not? Markers never hurt. Trade button, get your butt down here. Now, obviously, this thing's a little too wide. First we test our power of 2, then we mess with some other numbers that are similar to powers of 2, but not quite. Because I don't know, I guess I have a thing for powers of 2. How it goes. I don't know if this is actually going to be enough space. This poor button seems to be woefully small. The trade text is a decent size, but the button itself feels like it could use a little, I don't know, extra room. Let's give it a couple more pixels on each side. Not a ton, but just enough to maybe make it feel a little more spacious. Better. Definitely better. Alright, final step, make it a little prettier. Luckily we've got images for that already, and that doesn't look half bad. Doesn't look bad at all. I'm actually going to take the trade button and blow it up a little more. What? Windows has been doing this every morning for quite some time. It's becoming like a daily thing at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. There we go. Nice big trade button. Make life a little easier when it comes to reading our information on the screen. Alright. We apply the changes to root. Let's see, is there anything else? Nothing I can think of, at least not off the top of my head. So let's start getting to the whole filling in these part. So all of these will want something very similar to what we've been doing for our spells, right? We've got the image, and we've got the text, and then we've got the background image that lets us know that things are selected or not. I wonder if there's a way to horizontal, vertical. Yeah, as far as I can tell, these viewports and all of this information is just to hold the image information, and it's actually left to us to take care of all of the information that's sitting inside the actual scroll views. see here. So I know I've got, actually, let's see if I can reuse some of the item stuff that I've got. Maybe not, come to think of it. Spell UI, why not? Into viewport content. Every time we put something in one of these scroll views, you've got to remember it goes into that viewport content node. You'll note that it says spell name and all that good stuff. We're actually going to break the prefab instance, so we separate it from the prefab we initially created it with. We're going to call it the item trade UI. Instead of spell name, it's going to turn into item name, an item icon. Like I said, I need to figure out whether or not I think this should be something that we could do with simply either a script or with a generic prefab instance. Because it feels like we should be able to handle something like that. Just slap the information on it, just kind of say, yeah, when you're clicked, do a thing. Do this thing. Here's a function for you to call. Here's something for you to do. So that we'd essentially, instead of having one specialized script, we would break it into a pair of scripts. We'd have the one generic script that says, hey, here's what you need to do all the time. Right? So it would handle being clicked on, it would handle having its name said, it would handle having its icon changed. And then we'd also have another one that says, oh, by the way, this is also, ooh, that's a tiny image. This is also of this name and of this type. And so when you click on it, you need to run this logic. That looks incredibly small. It looks really, really freaking small. Let's try expanding this slightly. I brought it from 36 to 48. Just to make the image a little larger more than anything else. It's difficult to note, but when you're looking at this in a small window, it definitely looks tiny. Even when you're looking at it on a decently sized window, it's still pretty freaking small. So I'm trying to kind of bring this up to a good size where you can actually see and read the information. That looks a lot better already. Okay, so this is going to be its own item. Once again, item prefabs have been finding their way to here. So I'm just going to drag that here, delete it out of here. And we'll need a script for this eventually, but for now, why don't we just see what we can do in terms of the player populating it, because that's also a step that needs to get taken care of. So let's see here. You walk up, you talk to him. Let's find the scripts that we're handling this with, and I'm just going to close some things that I can't help that are open. Yeah, that should be good. See, on use, on equip, great. Okay, so this is what an inventory item looks like. Let's get to the spell UI class. Ooh, hello mouse. Having some trouble. Come on, there we go. Every once in a while it likes to wig out on me a little bit. Let's see here. So the spell UI does a few things. And I'm probably going to want something very similar to it. So let's come down with a item trade UI. Yes, that's nice. I really need to change that template. I need to dive in and just do it. Alright. So here's the item that we're going to keep in storage. And this needs to be public so that we can mess with it. We also want a start function that does a couple things for us. And I'm going to grab my headers just for ease of use here. And we're going to say find child, I think it was called item icon. Let's just double check this real quick. I'd rather not have to do this a ton of times because I couldn't figure out the name of one object, one or two objects. Okay, here's our trade UI. Yeah, item icon and item text. And also we need the using for our UI. Simple stuff. Simple stuff once you get used to this. So a lot of the reason I move so fast, and some of you may find it hard to keep up, and if you do, please ask me questions. I'm happy to answer whatever I can about game development. The reason I move so quickly, though, is that I'm very used to this system. I work with this at work. I make educational games for a living. And so since we do that in Unity, because cross-platform is pretty freaking awesome, and being able to develop and prototype things quickly is also a big win. One of the big things that goes on because of that is we end up using Unity, and because I use Unity at work, it's pretty simple for me to blast through this stuff at a somewhat breakneck speed. So if I do something silly or something you don't understand, please feel free to ask. I'm really, really happy to do what I can to kind of facilitate the understanding of whatever weird stuff I'm doing, because sometimes I catch myself when I'm doing weird things. When I'm sitting here just spewing code and talking nonstop, it all makes sense to me. But the moment I stop, sometimes I look at it and kind of go, oh, that's kind of dumb. Why am I doing this again? So that's one thing that I'd like to keep in mind, at least, is that if I am doing something silly, that at least I've thought it through. So this is going to be our starting point. Come on. There we go. Scripts. Item trade UI. Sweet. Trying to think of anything else we would need in this, but I'm not sure yet. We need to actually figure out A, how this gets populated, and B, how we actually take care of this. So events, events, events. On trade target picked. So the moment we have a trade target, we need to do a few things. We need to find that trade route slash, actually need the prefab of this NPC window sitting here, so I know exactly what I'm hunting for. So it's trade route party scroll view. Party. I don't like party. That's character scroll view. Yeah, I'll leave it at party. Why not? My worry is that I will think that this is for the entire party and not just for one person. But as I said, this UI is functional more than it's anything else. Slash viewport slash content. That is a long find child call. I'm going to shorten it ever so slightly by doing this. The first time we find the trade route, great. Then we're going to say trade route.findChild, and we're going to dig further from there. Let's see. I'm just looking at the documentation very quickly for the scroll view, although it looks like I found the wrong part. This is all the old GUI stuff that I don't care about. Really, Unity, do you not have some easy to find stuff for a scroll view? I guess a scroll view is made up of a bunch of different parts, and it's really more this scroll rectangle more than anything else, right? That's the big piece here that is kind of matched to everything else here. So I can, I guess, see why you don't have perfect documentation on it. Okay, so once we've got that, we need a few things. First off, we need a new template here. This is our trade UI template. This is our player item. I'll call it the player inventory view. I like that name. So inside the player inventory view and inside the character, we're going to say for each item, for each inventory item in the picked character, which, by the way, we know the picked character is a player character. I don't know why we haven't done the work to do the type coercion yet. Character as player character. And autocomplete hates me once again. Let's fix that. In pc.inventory slots. So this is for each item in the player's inventory. We are going to create a new trade UI object. And we use the template to create copies. And the trade UI object, we know it has this trade UI script. For now, we're just going to set the item equal to the item that we're replicating. A couple other things need to happen here. Some pretty obvious stuff. I have written a GameUtil function for this, so luckily it's not that bad. Here's our trade UI object. Its position. Ooh, that's mean. I have to switch this for each to a standard for loop. Quick null check should keep our life pretty simple. Also, let's just do as few array grabs as possible. That is that. Its index is I. And the scroll view is the player inventory view. I believe that's all I should need. That, or I know it's asking for the scroll view, so I honestly might just want to remove this part. Let's look at another use of this function. Whoop. To double check that I'm doing this right. So let's see, the character window, set position and scroll view, UI, that. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm doing this correctly. That should be it. Should being the word of the day here. I don't know if it is it, but it should be it. Let's get rid of this NPC window and see if this thing populates as we expect it to. And then we need to do cleanup. That's the part that we're missing. Whoopsies. We forgot something very important. Specifically that we should not start with the trade route open. We should start with the actions available. Okay, and those text items, let's just, no, not you. This is kind of absurd. The size of the text in each of these that's better. Can't help but notice that I missed the name here. Good enough for now. Good enough. Alright, we're going to apply our changes back down. Delete that. So now it'll default correctly, right? We walk up, it says, hey, great, you can do all these cool things. Cool, I want to trade with the warrior, because the warrior's got cool stuff in his inventory. If variable, trade UI template. Oh, whoops. Don't mind me. I just completely forgot to give it that template that I said I would give it. Okay. This is a little difficult because these are in two different folders. So I have to click on the NPC window, I click on the item folder from there, and then I give it a trade UI item from there. Trade with the warrior. Sweet, except for this blank spot. That blank spot is no good. So it got the dagger and it got the potions, but it looks like the item name never got set. Let's double check that I did this right. Item name, or was it item text? It's item text. There's our problem. Okay. As we fix bugs, this gets cleaner and cleaner. We're still missing something. You'll note that the rusty dagger has this blank spot where we know from looking at his inventory there's, oh, there is a blank spot there. But there's also other things in his inventory that it clearly isn't placing. So that's not good. Oh, and I know why. Crud. Yeah, let's do this. Here's our scroll view. So this is item index. The position index starts at 0. We can swap this back to a for each, luckily. For each. I like for each is better. They tend to be a little cleaner. Inventory item in your inventory slots. Hey, now I don't have to do this. If the item is don't continue, great. So the positional index starts at 0, and we're going to just increment it by 1 each time we find a real item. And this is going to probably turn into the case where this warrior has more things than the default size is meant to handle. Yeah, it barely fits the items in here. Interesting. So, something we have to keep in mind. I actually don't like that extra space here. The fact that it's like, I don't know, what's the word? Elastic? Not a huge fan of that. But it is populating as we expect it to. Question now becomes, two parts. One, do we have enough space inside the scroll view? And two, where do I turn off that elastic garbage? Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. Let's elasticity, none. Or movement type, clamped. Better. Does it have inertia? I guess. I'm not actually sure if I'm a huge fan of the inertia, but it at least will be an improvement. And I forgot to remove this from the scene. Whoops. I do that sometimes, leave things in scene that I really don't mean to. Okay, we hit trade with the warrior. Great. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. And if we look at his own inventory, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great, he's got 6 things. Now, just for the sake of testing, I'm going to crack open the warrior's character. Where's his inventory? Here it is. And I'm going to add one more item to it, which will push him over the limit. He won't be able to have all of his stuff appear in the inventory. He'll just be holding too many things. Why can't I hold all this loot? Well, I don't know. Maybe because you only have so much space in your backpack, buddy. Sheesh, talk about hoarding stuff. So we know he has one more rusty sword, and we know it's off the bottom of this scroll view. So let's see here. We know we have the scroll view itself. The question becomes, how do we set the size of the scroll view so that we know it matches all the items that it contains? Let's bring back the NPC window. Inside our trade route for our party scroll view. So, okay, viewport. Viewport doesn't look like it has anything interesting. Actually, let's look at the scroll view itself first. So I'm not seeing anything here that designates a kind of size. This information out here, as far as I can tell, is actually dealing with the size of the mask or the viewing area for the scroll view, and not the actual content of the scroll view itself. So let's just turn on the trade route so I can see it. So party scroll view, you'll notice we have a color here we can mess with that's the background. That kind of tells us that, yeah, what we're looking at here is not going to be exactly what we're hunting for. Okay, so if that's not what we're hunting for, and this viewport is little more than a mask, so I actually have a feeling that that since that is also not it, it's probably this content. And I'm pretty sure I'm right, because this has a height. But if you look at the height of the object, it's actually longer than the scroll view itself. Yeah, there we go. So you note how as I mess with this bar changes in size? That definitely tells us we're on the right track. Okay. So we need to mess with the content's height. Contents height? Something like that. So player inventory view, find child, viewport, content. And once we have this, we know it's a rectangle transform. There we go. And we take that content size, and if there is a height, we should be able to just set that. There is this rectangle that I might be able to assign information to. Content size dot. Just bring up some just see if somebody else has done this already, just so I don't have to like trial and error or screw with this. Iterate over your children, instantiate a prefab for each button, then set the parent to a panel that has a vertical layout group. You can adjust the sizing of each button using a layout. I don't care. I really don't care. Although a layout group, let's glance at that for a sec, because I don't use these often enough. I really don't. Am I growing a beard? Kinda, sorta. It's mostly laziness, honestly. I've been getting home and just like, I don't feel like dealing with beard today. So it's just been getting like longer and longer, and it's getting to the point now where it's actually kind of decent. It's going to get past that point sometime soon, and then I'll have to start really making sure I actually maintain the beard if I want to keep it. Not sure if I'm going to do that. I do think it'll be hilarious to at some point look back through the last week or so of videos and just like watch it grow. It's been subtle enough that I haven't noticed it a ton, but it's my face. I don't know. It's not like I look at my own face terribly often. Let's see here. Trade route. Alright, so if we look at the party scroll view, part of me is curious if in this content object, if I could add a layout object that would handle all of this for me. Content size fitter. The vertical fit should be the preferred size. Kind of curious what happens when I do this. Oh, let's hide the trade route again. Don't want that to be too obvious. Delete, jump in, trade with you. So, yeah. It looks like the preferred size right now has been set to the size of the layout and not the size of the content, which is not correct. We can actually mess with it from here though. If we look at our content, okay, what's going on here? This has a content size of 0 currently, which is garbage. Minimum size. No. Nah, garbage. Okay, so the content size fitter is nothing we care about. Let's see if any of these other ones will do us what we're hunting for. Here's our layout element. Preferred height. Flexible height? I can't help but notice that none of these are actually changing anything here. I might just have to change it by hand to like take care of this, which is kind of silly, honestly. Vertical layout group. Spacing. Well, this is kind of cool because it's letting me easily adjust the height and size of everything, although it seems to be breaking stuff at the same time. Child alignment. Yeah, not what I had in mind. Not a huge fan. Gosh darn it, I just want something. This content size fitter seems like it would be the right way to do this, but it isn't. And I can't tell you why it isn't. That's the scary part. Each of these item trade UIs has all the information set within it, so it's not like it's missing anything. Alright, screw it. We're doing it by hand. Nice, Hobbly Gobbly. Working on astronomy stuff. Interesting. Well, I mean, you know, follow your dreams. Do what you want to do. Better to, you know, work a job you enjoy than get stuck in one you don't, even if it does pay well. Alright, let's see if I can't find some way to set the content size here. Right, root, no. Size delta might be the way to handle this. I'm going to look at this variable content very quickly, see if that gives me what I'm looking for. Trade with you. 0 and 0. Okay, that's not right. It's not that it's not right, it's not what I want. Size? No. Dot rect dot. Let's just look at the rectangle contents. Maybe that'll tell us something? I'm honestly not sure. I'm hunting. Okay, cool. It's a good start. you'll note that we grabbed the height here. So I just need to grab a new rectangle. So we're going to grab the rectangle that we know contains the information on its size. We're going to set the size dot height equal to what? To the positional index times the trade, let's see here, trade UI object or template dot transform do some type coercion here, see if we can't grab what we need. Rect.height. That might do the trick. Also might break everything. And then we say the content transform.rect is the content size. There we go. We can't assign to that. Okay. How do we change the size of one of these things? Offset minimum and maximum isn't it? Okay, back to our documentation for a sec. The layouts components will help. I think the layouts components require, okay, layout groups. Let's look at this once more real quick. Something here should be able to lend a hand. It's ticking me off that it's not like upfront and obvious. Granted, a lot of things about Unity are not upfront and obvious, so I don't know what gave me that impression. I love Unity to death, don't get me wrong. It's a great engine, lots of good features. The systems inside of it are, for the most part, well designed. It just feels like every once in a while you run into something like this where the oh, I forgot to remove the content size fitter. Whoopsies. It feels like every once in a while you run into something and it is incredibly difficult to handle the size of this, or to handle some feature that should be simple and obvious and yet isn't. A layout group, they say. I don't even see a, okay, a horizontal or vertical layout group is probably what they're talking about. What's interesting is that the layout group is making the content fit the object, not the other way around. The object here should be, you know, for example, if it's like this, note how it stretches it. Don't force a width expand. Yeah, I mean, notice how it stretches everything if we make the height too large. That's definitely not right. And if it's too small, we then end up with that crap. So we're on the right path, but we got to figure out what actually will clean this up and make it work. Content size fitter didn't work. The layout element. Hey, look, UI stuff. Every once in a while I get caught on something like this. Auto layout. Okay. Controls the size of its own layout element. Simplest way to see the auto is to add a content size fitter to the game object with the text component. Okay, so it resizes itself to fit the contents of its own object. The problem is I want that for the children. or it may control child layout elements. I mean, that's what I care about the most, right? We don't care so much about the size of the children. The children are obviously fine as is. What I want is something that drives the... Okay, it says on enable and disable. It actually reapplies some of these. So let's try the content size fitter once more with a preferred vertical fit size. Minimum size? No. Huh. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not doing what I want it to do. So I just have to find a way to set that manually. How to dynamically increase the content size. Great. Grid won't resize the parent. Da, 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 da. Put a layout element component on the button. Layout element. Your preferred width. We'll call it 300. No, your preferred height. This is the information we care about, right? Can I, like, batch add component? That'd be great. Here's a layout element. Our preferred height is going to be 48 because magic numbers for now. And you now are going to resize yourself based on a content size fitter using the preferred size. Using the minimum size? No? Got nothing? Yeah, it's funny. It looks like it should be doing it, but for one reason or another, this layout element is just not triggering. Something about it is causing it to really, really not go off, and that is ticking me off. Okay. Like, other people are saying they've fixed this using a very similar solution to what I'm trying. Okay. Put a layout element component on what I assume should be Okay, this person's talking about NGUI. We don't really care a ton about NGUI stuff. Okay, so I can call set. That is the magic. So I can say content transform rectangle.set xy great content size.x content size.y. These actually should probably just be zeros. Content size.width and content size.height. But instead of height, it actually needs to be this. Let's see if that works. Fingers crossed. Also, before I do anything else, let's rip that stupid component off of this thing. Because it's breaking stuff, and I don't like things that break stuff. Okay, here is our content, GTFO. Alright. Come on, Unity, do me a favor. I'd like to have this working. Ah! Go ram it. Don't maximize it. Let's look at the details, see what it did. Here's the, no. Here's our party scroll view. Here's the content. And it says the height is 0. So it might not have a size because it is... It might not have a size that it can handle, mostly because... Let's see here. One sec. Gotta finish this thought. Height. Because it hasn't been instantiated. So templates may not have a height at that point. So we'll say the object height is equal to the trade UI object. And I don't like doing this because it does it a lot. That's the only reason I'm really kind of against this at the moment. But let's see if this works. There we go. Attempt number, I don't even remember. This is like 3 or 4, something like that. Still not good. Still not going correctly. The trade UI object, and then we grab the rectangle height. I don't see what's wrong with this. I'm pretty sure that's returning... No, that returned 48. So clearly... If I don't set this, what happens? Does it keep its 300-ish? Also, is its default 0 now because I put that dumb object on it? I'm just going to keep insulting this object. I mean, it's pretty much like wasted a ton of my time. So as far as I know, let's, okay. 300, right? Don't care a ton, but it's something I'm curious about. I'm just trying things at this point. Something's got to stick, right? Let's get rid of this NPC window and actually generate one correctly so we're not throwing exceptions all over the place. So this is still wrong. And if we unmaximize this to double check, party kit scroll view, viewport, content. That's interesting. It's actually pretty freaking close. So Huddly Gobbly definitely has a solution for me, and I do need to get going, guys. It is 9 o'clock, but thank you. Okay, bunch of things before I take off. One, thank you for joining me today. It's been great having you all with me. I know it's been kind of a quiet morning in terms of viewers, but hopefully, did I just get it? I think I got it. Okay, so I know what's going on. I just need to make this data-driven. Great. I'll think of that in a moment. You guys may note that a lot of the information down below my stream has changed. I did this weird, crazy thing called joining Twitter. I'm still learning my way around the Twitterverse, but I intend on using that to not only say weird, silly things, make terrible puns, and gaming jokes, but also to announce streaming times and such. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you will see each time I'm going to go stream. I will do my best to try and keep Twitter updated with that. You'll also note that I took my YouTube channel from a crazy link that's hard to find, turned it into a nice big image below. The big image should have the link to it, so if you guys want to go see my YouTube, where you can find the entire archive from end to end of what I've been working on for this game, there you go. I will be back online tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you everyone for joining me, and hopefully I will catch you all tomorrow. Thank you again. Take care.